You're free to take your seats as well. Hallelujah. Right. How are you doing today? Where are the other people? They haven't bathed. We are all facing the same situation. Why is it so special for you? All of us, we are in the same boat here. Why is it so special for you? But you haven't come to church. Why didn't you come to church? There was no water except there was no water everywhere. Why didn't you make a plan? Just imagine missing an exam. And then you come and tell your lecturer, I tried. There was just no water. Then your lecturer says, sorry. Anyways, I'll prepare another one for you. Don't worry, I got you. That's how it would go. So for an exam, you will make a plan. Imagine being called for an interview at a big firm. And you know there's money there. And then there's no what? There's no water. Then you call the place and you say, sorry, I'm unable to come today because there's no water. Then they say, oh, shame. Well, we'll be waiting for you whenever you're ready. You're a liar. So, you make a plan. In it. Yeah. You make a plan. Even for church, you make a plan. You come. So I'm happy to see everyone. However it is that you are here, doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Whether you just did one soap, one water, it doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. How will they know? How will they know? You all just look very lovely. No one knows. Never been. It's just the secret between you and yourself. How are you? So if I gave you a random task for in church right now, you would just freeze. I'll be back. So anyways, I'm just doing my census. Never mind me. It's good to see everyone though. It's good to see everyone. When was the last time I saw you? People can disappear. See? Right. So last week we were looking at the tenets of marriage. This marriage thing that everybody wants. Why do you want to marry? Where's the mic? Today I'm watching. Yeah, because there's no one in here who doesn't want. Anyone who's saying me, I don't want marriage, we can conduct a deliverance fast. Before I start preaching. No one. So see, I was in the correct church. So everybody wants to marry or get married. But why? Why? Why do you want to get married? Why do you want to marry? To go fetch somebody else's child and say, come and live in my house. Why do you want to marry?
To fulfill certain goals.
At what?
To fulfill certain goals.
To?
Fulfill certain goals.
Certain goals. The man has goals that just need to be fulfilled by way of marriage. Interesting. Why? Sis, why? Oh, you. Yes, that same one. Why do you want to get married, sis?
I don't,
Eh?
because it's a pattern of living. God said to go and fulfill the earth and dominate. And,
She just wants to participate in filling up the earth.
and
She doesn't want to be left behind.
yes.
Selam watching this. Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. This side. Oh, now Africa.
I think I would like to marry because it's a desire that God has put in me. Yeah.
That's the answer I was waiting for. All of you people are just sounding like machines. She wants to get married because she wants. You people, no, I want to get married because I want to. Demo exam room muno. Ask cafe, kuba fe for wava. Ikavyo kumaskwa yoko. Na ufika mwache. Na ufika. Basta.
Because it was like the way the Bible says in Jeremiah 29 that I have planned for you. So God planned for me so that I could get married.
Icho.
And also,
Chapa bakupa mwache wanti. Chapa bakupa. Mwache sela. Kabia bo.
and also so I can fulfill I can accomplish the plans that
Chili
God has for me.
robotic. Akopeni, nomba kulast. Now ufika mwache wanti.
Whoa.
Hey, why do you want to get married? Icho.
Because
You see, you people, have you seen we have a problem in church?
Just like God said in the beginning that it's not good for a man to be alone. So it's
So
also
you
not-
just want to make it good for someone's son.
yes.
She wants to make it good for someone's son because she's looking around and she's thinking, so I need to find a way to participate so that I can help God and make it look good. Sela mwachawan, Sela. Don't worry, if you're on a ban, I'm not even looking at you. We are here. Why do you want to get married?
it's always been my desire to get married because I just love the art of family.
Always been my desire. I like that. You know, usually it's the ladies that grow up planning their weddings. I'll wear this dress, I'll shine, I'll shine, I'll shine. Fito afe busy to punka nyafia miotoka. Boom. Mkwa. Chapwa.
Yeah, I love family. I love family.
She loves the idea of family. Are you seeing that? She loves the idea of family, and the key of the family is marriage itself. That's the key. People have desires, they've named all their children, except they've not planned for how their marriage is going to be. Where will you raise those same children? On the street? Is that push up much?
say?
Iwe, I want to preach. Hurry up.
I'll go with what Modwa said because it's a desire that God placed in my heart.
So let's say, you people who are saying, because it's a desire that's God's placed in my. Let's say God says, okay, give it back. The desire, give me back the desire. That same my desire to be with another person. If God said, give me, Carrie, you're giving me those to my technical answers. No, because it's a desire God placed in my heart. So now, since God is the one who just put the thing in you, if he were to give you an option and said, okay, can't you give me back the desire? Would you give it back? Nah, wait, not if you're than that is it's God. He's saying it's up to you, but then it's like you can give it back.
Or like he's allowing me to choose.
Yes. To remain with the desire or to give him back the desire. See? So it has nothing to do with God. Even you. Look, the reason I put it that way is so that you also begin to see that it's not just some system, some robotic chan. You get what I mean? Yeah. You want also. Stop putting God in it. You want. Where cafe, you want. So the fact that you wouldn't give it back to him if you had the option to tells you that it's beyond God. So when you begin to look at it that way, it helps you not become too technical with it. Right? Yeah. It helps you not become too technical. Because then what ends up happening is, if you miss certain things and things don't go the way you expected them to, guess what you're going to blame? You can make your own mistakes, it backfires, you will blame God. God, you don't even put this desire in me. So now look. Or when you tend to seem to be in some sort of kind of dry season or whatever people call it, you know, you're not on a ban, but like, you're also not dating. And then now, you're just with the desire. But the one to desire is not there. So now you start blaming God. You start having an issue with God to say, when, Lord, when? God, when? You start putting candles on your statuses and all that stuff. Because there's no man in your life. You see that? So who are you having an issue with? God. Because you put this desire in me, and then now after you put this desire in me, there's no man in my life. I've been waiting for this long. Now me, look, I'm getting old. So when you accept it as your own, it helps you to even manage that period of your life. Are we together? I hope I've helped someone. You know. Otherwise, for the rest of you on bands, God bless you. Please just keep pushing the work of the Lord. Your time will come. Let's not rush things. Now, there's something that the Lord placed on my heart that I feel we need to get into quickly. Because it's one of those things that I believe just helps you not to be, confused. It also helps you to be a bit more established. Right? Right? Now, when we do a quick study of Genesis 1 and 2 creation, you begin to notice what God is doing and how he's doing it. You notice that as God is bringing things into existence, he is not just bringing them into random spaces, but he is bringing them into purposed spaces. He's bringing them into what? Purposed, or purpose, whichever one you like. He's bringing them into purposed places, number one. Number two, he is also bringing them into purposed environments. The reason is because for everything that God is bringing into existence, his vision for that thing is that it flourishes. He doesn't want a thing to just exist for the sake of existing, but he's bringing everything into existence for the purpose that it flourishes. That is important to understand, because when you begin to interact with the world, and when you begin to look at what the place of man is, because now when God creates the man after everything, he places him over creation as manager. So his duty becomes to ensuring that the things that God has already created flourish. That's purpose. Now, when a thing is brought into existence, it doesn't just hang around somewhere in the air, not necessarily being anywhere, and just trying to figure itself out. Everything is brought into the place where it is going to flourish. So, when God speaks of, I don't know, let's go there. I think we get a clearer chan from okay. The earth was without form, motion. Now I want you to switch to the NLT. Let's do a quick study together. Right. The earth was empty, a formless mass, cloaked in darkness, and the Spirit of God hovering over the surface. Let's go. Then God said, "Let there be light," and there was light. And God saw that it was good. Then he separated the light from the darkness. Are you seeing what's happening? Very orderly. Let's go. God called the light day and the darkness night. Together these made up one day. And God said, "Let there be space between the waters to separate water from water." So I'm imagining there was a situation of just water everywhere. And God is thinking, so let's create space. Let's go. And so it was God made this space to separate waters above from the waters below. Now we are beginning to see a picture of a separation between two dimensions where water exists. Let's go. And God called the space sky. This happened on the second day. And God said, "Let the waters beneath the sky be gathered into one place, so dry ground may appear." And so it was. I would like to see what the picture was before this started. Because now, what do you mean there was no space between the earth and the sky? The waters were very confusing. God named the dry ground land and the water seas. And God saw that it was good. Then God said, "Let the land burst forth with every sort of grass and seed-bearing plant, and let there be trees that grow seed-bearing fruit. The seeds will then produce the kinds of plants and trees from which they came." And so it was. Now, already, before you see the trees and the plants, they first needed somewhere to be. So before they appeared, what did God create? The land. So all these things are already in God's mind. If we are doing a catch up, as we are reading, we are just catching up. So, as at the time the earth was without form, God is already thinking plants, trees, what, all that stuff. But then he's thinking, how do I make these things exist? So then he says, wait, we first need to separate the waters from the sky and the waters beneath. Once he was done with that, he looks at the water punch and he says, wait, there's too much water everywhere. So now we need to create spaces between these water. So he creates water bodies. Let's just put it that way. He creates water bodies because you now have your rivers, your seas, your streams, your what. And all these things are so systematic that they in their separation, they also separate from purpose from one another. Why? Because when you go to the sea, what kind of water are you going to find there? But when you go to a river, so already you can tell that the purpose for these two water bodies is... Meanwhile, from the beginning there, it was just water everywhere. But upon separation, what the Bible does not show us is that when the waters began to separate into different water bodies, they were also separating into their places of purpose. And into that place of purpose, it then determined what sort of water they become. Because from the beginning, it was just water. Look, God used a similar principle even when he was creating man. Because when you begin to look at the record of the creation of man, the Bible just said that he created male and female. But we only see Adam. Then now, he wants to divide purpose. So he pulls one out, creates another body. Now that body, as a result of its purpose, ends up taking a different form from the first one. This one comes out and softer, nicer to look at. Yeah. It seems better crafted. It just seems like a lot more thought went into it. Are you seeing that? See, this is why I find it strange to find a woman who's looking down on themselves or even feeling inferior to a man. I find it strange. Yeah. Because not necessarily, it's not a competition, but then I also just feel like women were an upgrade. That's just what I feel like. Women are, look, when these tech people are doing things, then they do what? An OS. Bapanga OS lero te. Ero basa panga na imbi 2 weeks later. Is it the same OS? They are going to tweak on that OS. When that other one comes out, it's going to come out 2.0. It's better than the first one. Are you seeing that? Yeah. Look at the amazing things that women can do. I don't understand. I really just don't understand. You're nicer, you're softer. Look, don't let the word confuse you. No, there's purpose in the way God created you. Exactly the way he created you. If you feel soft, that's where your power is. You don't have to be umupondo because you are kopala. Like it's not necessary. You know what I mean? It's not necessary. There's wisdom in the way God created you exactly like that. So sometimes when people begin to get into very unnecessary competitions with men, I'm just like, what are you doing? What are you doing? You were not created for the thing I'm doing. Are you seeing that? So, anyways, let's go. The land was filled with seed-bearing plants. Now, the other thing I forgot, already when God, go back, he says, let the land burst forth with every sort of grass and seed-bearing plant. Let there be trees that grow seed-bearing fruit. The seeds will then produce the kinds of plants and trees from which they came. God is already thinking continuation. So, at this point, what God doesn't want is, every time you need a mango tree, he has to show up and say, let there be a mango tree, then a mango tree grows. So what he does is that in the makeup of the mango tree, he says, this tree must bear fruit, which is going to have seed inside for that same tree. So that when you eat the mango, you can get the seed and then get another mango tree from the seed. Purpose. Continuation. Are you seeing that? Let's go. The land was filled with seed-bearing plants and trees, and their seeds produced plants and trees of like kind. And God saw that it was good. This all happened on the third day. And God said, let bright lights appear in the sky to separate the day from the night. There will be signs to mark off the seasons, the days, and the years. Interesting. Didn't we already say let there be light? Huh? Remember, God already said let there be light. But strange, he's now saying let there be bright lights appear in the sky, separate the day from the night. What did he create before? Because I believe this is when the sun is coming into existence. That's when the sun is being born. Yeah. Let's go. Let their light shine down upon the earth, and so it was. You see, this is why, even when you begin to study all these things, planets and stuff like that, that's why the earth is so perfectly positioned. So perfectly positioned. These other planets, they've got harsh conditions. Because when God was making the plan, the sun was meant for the earth, to shine on the earth. So he positioned it at a safe enough distance from the earth so that it doesn't scorch it. But then also close enough so that the earth does not become unreasonably cold. What an amazing God. For God made two great lights, the sun and the moon. Are you seeing that? That's when the sun is coming. To shine down upon the earth. The greater one, the sun, presides during the day. The lesser one, the moon, presides through the night. He also made the stars. God set these lights in the heavens to light the earth. Look, the difference is, before, when God said let there be light, even the word that is used for light there is different from the one that is in verse 14. Because the one that is in verse 14 speaks of a host for the light, not necessarily the light itself. Are we together? So, for example, when he was separating in verse 14, that word light there is more of a light body, like you have water bodies. So it's not light itself, but it's just something that embodies the light, which he already spoke of. But then, a bit more technically, he was also announcing his presence on the earth. He was announcing his existence on the earth. He was announcing himself. Because here's what the Bible says. The Bible says that, do not be deceived, brothers and sisters, every good and perfect gift comes from, who is the father of what? So, in other words, that moment, instead of saying, let there be light, we can put it this way: let there be me. So, even though God was already existing from forever to forever, he was now bringing himself into time. So, there has to be, and that's why that was the first thing. Because creation now has to find me so that I can now be the Alpha. At the very beginning of time and existence, what will you find? Me. Now, this is what now begins to hold everything together. Because there was a problem. Remember, there was a problem already in the beginning when the Bible now tells us this thing was formless and darkness was looming over the earth. So that darkness there also just means nothingness. It's not in the most technical sense just the issue of it being dark and difficult to see, but it's the issue of there not being anything there. So what God is trying to say in that moment is that there's nothing that's existing here. So now let's begin with me. So that God can now be also etched in time. So he's stepping out of eternity into time, creating the time as he does so. So later on is when now he says, oh, okay, now we can even have the sun and the moon and the stars and all that stuff. Meanwhile, all light comes from him because he himself is light. You know, the Bible tells us that we will have no need for the sun or the moon or the stars. Why? Because God himself will be our light. Like, I don't know what that looks like, but that sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. That sounds amazing. That's why, look, when the Bible also now begins to teach us that there is no shadow of turning in him, it speaks to him also being light. Not to kashka, as in, just in case the brother somewhere, so let's all kashka. No. It speaks to him being light. He is the light. So the picture is this. God is so much of light that he doesn't cast a shadow. That's what the Bible means. He doesn't cast a shadow. Now, the principle of shadows is that, let me put it this way. Every object is some sort of kind of dimension of light. Some greater than others. So, when a greater light shines on an object of a lesser light, it exposes the difference between this dimension of light and this other one. That difference is seen in a shadow. Are you following? So, when you have your sun shining like this, then now you will see his shadow being cast depending on the direction of the sun. So if the sun is this side, then you will have, why? Because the sun is a greater dimension of light than this object. For example, you can get you can get a candle. Although there are theories that you can't see the candle wick. I think you can if you cast a light greater, or rather great enough. Now, when it comes to God, what light will you bring that will be greater? So what that means is that if God is standing here and you brought the sun here and you looked this side, there will be no shadow. As a matter of fact, if you look behind the sun, that's where you will find the shadow of the sun. Are you seeing that? But then at the same time, God is also so much light that if God is standing in this place and you looked under the table, you will find it's just lit. If you did like this, you closed up your palms like this, and then you peep inside like this, you will find it's still light in there. It means, on one principle, even though we are saying if the sun was here and God was standing here, you will find, but then it also means you also can't find a shadow. Why? Because if God is standing here, he is light, right? In the technical sense of the principle of light, there should be a shadow behind him. But then God is what we would just call comprehensive light. So once God is here, his light, the effect of his light is almost like it's shining through him. So even if a shadow wanted to form behind him, it won't be able to, because it will find there's light here also. Are you following me? That also begins to speak to the perfection that is God. To how that there is no trace of error. There's no trace of darkness in or to him. It speaks to the reality that when God enters a place, it begins to experience perfection. That's why I said, if God enters a room like this, if you look under the tables, you will not find random shadows of desks and all that kind of stuff. You will just still find well-lit places. Because God fills every space like that. Are we together? So, I just wanted to clear that out for you. So, back to what we were talking about. Purpose. Everything that God is creating so far is not only coming into its place, it's also coming into its time. Because there are days that began to be created as a result of a separation of dominance of the light bodies that God created, being the sun and the moon. So when the sun goes down, then the moon comes up to rule over the night. When that exchange happens, we call it a day. Are you following me? So now, when the other things now start coming on board, now, understand that, first of all, to see what's happening, you need light. Hence, the manifestation of light from the beginning. When you begin to now look at the plants and others, for them to flourish, what do they need? So there's nothing that's coming into existence without the elements that should help it to flourish. So as the thing is coming into existence, there are already things that exist to aid that thing's existence. So now, fast forward, everything has been created. By the time God is bringing man on the earth, guess what he has? Everything. Man already has everything, because by the time God is bringing him into an environment, he's bringing him into a complete environment. One that can produce for him the things that he needs to be sustained. Hallelujah. So, in him being sustained, we're not just talking about things that pertain to his body in terms of food and stuff, but we're also talking about things of purpose, because when a man loses purpose, he begins to decay. When a man loses sight of his purpose, he begins to decay, because then you stop functioning the way you were created to. So anything that functions outside purpose is under abuse. Anything that begins to function outside. That's why when people are not doing what they are supposed to be doing, when people are not doing what they were called to do, when people are not doing what they were created to do, they begin to decay. Their lives begin to take different directions, and they find themselves in deeper trouble. When people skip purpose, generations fall into trouble. Why? Because you're not doing the thing that God created you for. There's a reason why God created you. There's a reason he placed you where he placed you, so that you can flourish there. So now, if we pull a tree out of the ground, or we pull a tree out of the ground and take it into another ground, it's still a ground, right? But then we've taken it into a different environment. Will it flourish there? There are certain, even animals, that you don't just find anywhere. Why? Because there are places that are not conducive for that particular animal. Either that place does not produce the food that it eats, or the climate in that environment is not conducive for it to flourish. I often talk to people, when I'm talking about dogs, you have the Siberian Husky. That's my dog that looks like a wolf. That dog, that particular breed, is meant for cold places. That's where it should be. So, the Siberian Huskies that you see on this side of the earth are not even the way a Siberian Husky should be. They don't come into full form. One. Number two, most of them don't even live full lives. Because they are in, according to their makeup, in harsh conditions. Because that breed loves the cold. It needs to be where it's cold. If there's snow, even better. That's that breed. Are you following me? See? So now, you remove that dog from where it's supposed to be, you take it elsewhere. It may even still look like it's alive. It's alive and it's doing all these things and you think it's cute and all that kind of stuff. But what you also don't know is when you compare it to the other one that is in the correct environment, that's when you will see the difference. You will then see the difference, because just from the fur itself, from the size, and even just the general makeup of the dog, you will notice there's a difference here. Because it's not flourishing in the environment you've put it in. So when we begin to talk about purpose, we are also talking about the correct and right placement of things and people for the sake of them flourishing. See, this is why God set out an order for everything, so that when that order is followed, then you can flourish. There are things that, look, when people make things, they usually also provide for you a manual. Sounded like a manual. A manual. That thing is supposed to help you understand how what has been made is supposed to be used. That manual will tell you how far you can go with the thing. There are certain equipments, they will even tell you this one is suitable for commercial use. It means that one now, you can use it longer and on larger surfaces and so on and so forth. But there are certain things, it's the same thing, but then it does not have that commercial capacity. So when you begin to use it a certain way, it will easily die. So you will find, let's say, a barbing machine. There are certain machines that they'll even write that for home use. Then you go buy that one for home use, in a barber shop. Now, in a barber shop, you will find there are a lot of people coming in like this. So the machine is, 1 week later, the machine has died. It's not the machine's problem, it's you who was using it wrongly. But when you go and pick the one that says for commercial use, you will find that you will use that one longer. And by the time it's giving you issues, you would have gotten your money back. You would have made a profit out of it. Are you following me? The same is with people. When you begin to use your life in a way that it wasn't purposed to, you are only shortening it. You are only shortening it. Listen, when God created the man in the beginning, death was not part of the deal. Death was not part of the deal. But God gave the man an order. He said, this is how you should live. Don't eat from this tree. So now the day he ate from that tree, he introduced death. So that means he stepped out of the place he was supposed to be into some other area. He introduced in his system a thing that was not meant for his system. That tree, that fruit was not meant for his system. So when he introduced it into his system, it brought about the concept of death. That was never the plan of God from the beginning. So there are certain things that may happen to certain gadgets or equipments or whatever. You can drop your phone in water maybe, for example. Those phones that are not waterproof, obviously. You can drop it in water, and sometimes you quickly pick it up, you do like this, and then it seems fine for now. But then eventually, you just find it has started pressing itself, it has started going off, it's not charging as quickly, it starts developing faults. It's as a result of water that was introduced in its system, which should not be there. Are you following me? So when the man now eats of the tree, that's a thing that should not have been there. So what that thing does, it begins to deteriorate the man. Now, not only now, it sends him into a space where he picks up a new talent. Now, he's crafting ways to sin. He's crafting ways to break the order that God gave him. And the more that he does that, the more he deteriorates. That's how come now you will find, after God looks at the man and is looking at everything that he's doing, he's saying, you know what? This man has become too crazy. From now on, he won't live any more than 120 years. Are you seeing what's happening? Meanwhile, before then, there were people that were living 900, 8, Shanuko. Imagine just being alive for 800 years. They're just still about. And some of these guys were 700 and something years old, and they were still fathering children. Very powerful men. You see that? Yeah. They were still, listen, there was a period of time that the man was still experiencing what I would just call the residue of the life of God. Because sometimes that's all you remain with, eh? Residue. I mean, you know what residue is? Eh? What is residue? What's residue in your language? At residue. No, it's not that. That's not it. So that's what the man was left with. So he was surviving. He was surviving on the small amounts that remained. That's what he was surviving on. Sometimes, for example, you can meet someone who has like powerful cologne. Right? Then you say, hi, what's up, my guy? You give them a hug. Then that cologne remains on you. So for a bit, as you move around, you're smelling like that person. But eventually, because it's not yours, to wear off. So when the man fell, because now what the man perhaps expected was, when God said, the day you eat of this tree, you will die, he thought, poison. But then he was shocked. After he ate, he was still alive. He was still breathing. Are you seeing that? He was still alive. But then the Bible says, in the day you will eat of this fruit. In what? In the day you eat of this fruit. What does the Bible tell us? The Bible tells us that 1,000 years are like a day to God. So in truth, no one has ever lived a day since. Because no one ever reached 1,000 years. Abayire sana baperere mu 900 and shanshan uko day hapo mwacho andika vile. So God is still true in his word, right? Yeah. In the day you will eat of this thing, you will surely die. And the man tried to live more than a day. And it wasn't working. First I've come watch about 23 hours. Thinking they're almost there. Drop. Naombia is Aisha come watch 22:30. Drop. Naombia is Aisha come 12 hours. Drop. No one could live a day. Why? Because they broke order. Look, I want you to understand something. It's not so much of just sin. No. It's also the issue of order. Order means that there's a way things are supposed to be, and they must be kept that way. That's what order means. There's a way things ought to be, and they must be kept that way. There's an order in which things are supposed to be done. For example, if you're going to cook in Shima, there's an order, right? There's an order. You can't send it, Ndevu Mwali. Then number. Moya bula fi obunga ne fime nshifi atalala. Mwamba no kunaya. You see? But there's an order in which you prepare nshima. You will find the duration even varies depending on what milimi we are using. Are you seeing that? We are talking of order. The moment you begin to skip certain things, you compromise the quality of the end product. You end up compromising the end product, the quality of the end product, because you skipped certain orders. First things first, before you even start thinking you want to cook in Shima, you must first have fire. We're not even about to start having this Shima conversation without fire. Amala itinga takudi wa jama. Taukrita amalasha super jammed. You even know about the send for bread. Because now you understand the order. So mwafayo muliro first, mwafayo muliro okay cool. Not kwa tempoto ya kunaira mwadi. Because then wala naira kusobwadi. You may have all the other ingredients, but then you don't have a pot in which to cook the nshima. The project has failed already. You need water. How? What are you see that? People are having struggles cooking right now because of this water thing going on. Are you seeing what's happening? There's an order. Okay, do you just throw the milimi in the pot because now the elements are available? You first have to now put the water in the pot, put the pot on the fire, and wait. Very important part of the process, the wait. You will wait until the water is at a desired temperature, depending on whatever method of boiling you're doing. Some of us, we've never just been able to do the tuunga like this, direct. Yeah, it's disaster. There are people who are skilled. They know the exact temperature of the water. When it reaches that temperature, they just get that mamili. So anyways, some of us have just never gotten up to that. We just wait for the water to boil. We put the mamili in a cup somewhere, mix it with cold water, quickly, then we put like this. If you tell me to do some other thing. Back in the days, we used to be too fast when we didn't have patience. So to everything, direct. Kapia kavoach. See, but there are people face kurureda ba ngabafubira yabila wino basasa bakupura kwa. You can tell that, okay, yeah, it's time to chakula. You know what I mean? You don't just throw in there and then fast mwambo. You can tell. Wakupura professor kwa inunkila porridge yaka yenati. Okay, na ifikapo. Then number panono wafika motubunga cha wafika motubunga pa. Wafimba pono kufimba walera kupanono pa. There's process. There's process. When you're assembling things, there's a process. You don't just start with everything. There's a process you are supposed to follow. You connect this to this, then that to that, then you put this there, then this comes there, then this, then this. Then when everything is done, then now you switch it on. You skip certain processes, you will find something is going to short. You will lose something in the end. Are you seeing that? So the point that I'm making is that order is so critical that if we skip certain things, we would have then compromised everything else. And that's why, that's why we took time to look at certain things like the tenets of marriage. Why? Because everyone, one of the points that I made was that everyone desires to live a quiet life. All of you desire to live a peaceful life. You desire to be in a home that is stable. But a stable home has got not only its own ingredients, but it has its own processes that need to be followed for its creation. Stable homes don't just pop up. They have an order. From how you get there and how you manage it after you are there. A stable home, you understand, is not some destination you just finish. No. Even after you've arrived, it's a stable home, quite right. Yes, glory, hallelujah. But remember, now you have to manage it. You have to maintain it. It has to remain stable. And for it to remain stable, it means there are things you must do. There's an order you must stick to. So, when the enemy now wants to destabilize things, and especially believers, he doesn't just, on first appearance, bring the chmasin. No. What mostly he would do is he will entice a person to first come out of order. He will entice them. Listen, even when the predators in the wild are hunting, they will look at some zebras like this, they are grazing. Then they will pick their target. Once they've picked their target, their strategy is to separate their target from the rest of the crew. Because they know that if we just enter like this, maybe they may gang up on us because they are more than us. So what they will do is they will cause some disruption this side, but they will make sure that as everybody else is running this way, their target starts going this other way. They must break order. So that when they are out of order this side, when they are out of they can now be pounced on easily. So what he will do is, immediately, he will bring first a disorder, take you out of your place, take you out of your spot of purpose, so that when you're outside it, because see, when you move outside order and outside purpose, in truth, you then become weaker. Because your strength is in exactly what God created you for and where he placed you. That's the secret of your strength. That's the secret of you flourishing. It's to be in purpose. When you move out, you're weak. You're becoming weaker now. All of a sudden, there are certain things you used to do that you're now struggling to do. That's how you find when certain people now begin to move out of order, one of the things that dies as the first thing is their prayer life. All of a sudden, see, that's why there are some of you just need to be strong. You need to be strong. Hello, ushers. You just need to be strong. You know, in the ushering department, there's a very interesting activity. The people, they pray at 05. You still pray at 05? The people, they pray at 05. I don't know any other department that does that. They pray at 05. Meanwhile, that thing has been a challenge for a lot of people. People have tried joining the department and they ran away. Because, 05, every day. It's every day. Kaboko. Cover. Cover. I've had people come, no, me, what. And they're expecting I'll go to the HOD. No, feel sorry for the people. Nix. You will pray. You will pray. You see? Because you see, one thing you need to realize that's good for you. It's good for you. For some people, it's the only time they pray. It's the only time they pray. But then, I've also noted how, for some people, they complain, no, this thing for praying, away, me. They left. Their prayer life died. That's how their prayer. See, there's a certain level of discipline you end up building. You always pray at 05. I mean, even that shakes me a bit. I'm just like, no, me, I've got my own order. Yeah, I pray before I sleep. I pray before I sleep at 0203 there. That's my prayer hour. Once I sleep, I'm out. I'm done for the day. Not come wake me up at 05 away. But then you see, if that is the department I'm in, then that's exactly what my order is. What I shouldn't do is start comparing it to the other department. What I shouldn't do is start thinking, no, the other department, they don't do this thing. How come if we? See, that's exactly how people end up in trouble. Because you see, remember I told you some weeks back, I said, beware of the riffraffs. I told you, beware of the riffraffs. Because the whole reason the Israelites ended up with strange cravings in the wilderness was because of the riffraffs they carried with them. They are the ones that started the craving. They are the ones that started the trend. They are the ones that started it. So now they also just started to feel like, oh, even now, see. And this is why you need to be very careful. You need to be very careful. Watch how you live with the riffraffs. Watch how you live around trends. You know, in our generation, the thing that's putting us in trouble, just trends. Just trends. A trend can push somebody out of order very quickly. Because I don't understand how you are a full-time member of this ministry. You miss Friday prayers. Then we find you this other side challenge past midnight. Oh no, at Munshinumbula, me, I don't hide these things. I don't like beating about the bush about some of these things. There's nothing wrong with it, okay? I want you to get me correctly. Nothing wrong with what the man of God is doing, what the men of God are doing, what the men and women of God are doing with that whole thing. That thing is helping so many people, glory to God. But you belong somewhere. There's a particular place God has planted you. So how do you skip the processes and the order and the activities of that place and then seem so passionate about some other activity elsewhere? Haven't you come out of your Bible? Your department is having prayers. You had load shedding issues. You had network issues. You were tired. You couldn't wake up. All those excuses. But when it came to this challenge, this other side, somehow your battery was at 100%. All of a sudden, Zesco had nothing on you. All of a sudden, you were full of energy past midnight. It's always very difficult to get your class. You are in a discipleship class. You were supposed to be present in that class at 21 hours, whatever time it is that you meet. You gave an excuse and you said you didn't have bundles. Tell me how they sent you bundles from that challenge. You found bundles to attend, and you've been attending consistently, you've been faithful. But in your own church where God has placed you, you want to be a problem. It's not an issue of what you're doing is sinful. It's out of order. Order means you do what you're supposed to do when you're supposed to do where you're supposed to do it. You must understand what is your place. You must also then begin to understand what are your responsibilities there. You see, everybody wants to talk about what a good pastor looks like and all that kind of stuff. Okay, how about we flip the script and now begin to look at what a good church member looks like? Because you want to walk around thinking you don't have standards that are set against you. As a church member, there are qualities you must possess. And one of those first things is to understand that where you are is where God meant for you to be. When you understand that, then you begin to now look into, how do I flourish here? How do I flourish here? One. Number two, how does my presence here cause the fellowship, the ministry rather, to flourish also? Because God did not put you here just so that you can benefit. God put you here so that the ministry can also benefit from your presence. Do you understand that we need you here in this church? You know, there are people who will miss church and they will say, even if I go, it won't count for anything. It's not like I'm Zigonist Natasha. Imagine, that's so careless. You're so careless in your thinking. The Bible tells us that you should not esteem yourself more highly than you ought to. But that also means that you are to esteem yourself highly nonetheless, just not more than you ought to. So there are people who sometimes walk around with this inferiority complex now, where they just, no, it's not like me, it's not like I'm Satan, me, I'm just. So now you can just miss church. It's not like I'm even the one who takes pictures, so even if I don't go, I'm not even that valuable in that church. First of all, you are the problem. Because in the time that you've been in this same church, how come you've not made yourself valuable? Let me tell you something. Being valuable in a place is not just a matter of just popping up and all of a sudden you're valuable. No. You need to learn to build capacity that makes you valuable there. Look, when some of us joined the ministry, we were not bringing anything. We didn't come with like papers or my degree. No, we didn't come with that. I didn't come with like this experience. Because maybe you think like, oh, we popped up with this experience. I've been in ministry for 15 years, so I can teach you one or two things. No, we didn't come with any of that stuff. When we joined the ministry, we just came as we are like this. But then when we got into the ministry, we started to look at how can I be relevant here? So we started looking for work. When you find me in the times when I just joined this ministry, I was everywhere. You know, there are two kinds of, there are some who are still thinking which department to join. I don't know what department to join. I've just been a little bit confused about it. I'm still thinking. Good for you. At least you're still thinking. Look, some of us, whilst we were trying to figure out what department to be in, we were serving everywhere. Wherever the work was, that's where you will find me. So if I find people picking papers, that's exactly what I'm about to start doing. I'll start picking papers. First things first, what I did for myself was I made sure I was never late. I made sure I was always not on time. See, one of the things you must do for yourself to just discipline yourself and make sure you are being an excellent person, have this principle in your mind that on time is late. On time is late. That mentality of just always want to be on time. I wasn't late. No, you are late. You are a workforce member. Service starts at 8:30. You know service starts at 8. Why are you coming here at 8:30? So, you being workforce, who's supposed to make sure that the service starts at 8:30 if that's when you're showing up? You're a workforce member. You know service starts at 8:30. You show up here at 7:30. Oh, 7:30. But who class here 6 hours, mulaya? You are a hypocrite. That's what you are. You are a hypocrite. I hear there are classes for even lining up. You have to go there an hour early. People wake up for that. They are so committed. They are early, whether it's raining, it's cold, they don't care. They will be there and they will line up. They will even show up there 45 minutes before time and they'll find people, I'm so late. They are rushing. Because they know there are other people. You see? Voting time. When we are casting our votes, have you seen no time people wake up? People are in the line at 04. Zero 04. You've never gone to the you go to the polls at 6 hours. You're late. You're late. Meanwhile, that's when the polls open, yeah? At 6 hours. But if you go to the polls at 6 hours, you're late. Except at church. At church, no, it's okay. You are a workforce member. They even put you per list ya abantu abale leading our intercession. Then now you're showing up here at 8:45. Sorry, I'm late. Not back of a delay. Sorry. You're careless. It's what you are. You're very, very careless. No, Pastor, but even you come late. Yes. On purpose. Because if I come early, I'll slap everyone. Imagine me here at 7:30. You won't breathe that Sunday. Maybe one day, wait. I know. Don't worry. I'm just waiting for a Kassan thing. There's a Kassan thing I'm waiting for. Once that Kassan thing just lands, you're in trouble. Because I'll be here at 7:30. If you don't show up, I will carry the service myself. Yeah. Or I stick to my word. I do. One time, Masquire thought it was a threat. I gave them a task, and I told them, if you don't do this thing, you're all not going to minister. They thought, Manja service is in the boy. If we don't minister as mass choir, they went, performed. I sat all of them down. And we had an amazing service. So you come late, I run the service myself. I'll be the MC, I'll be the secretary. Yes. I can do it. It's nothing to it. I'll lead intercession myself, praise and worship, no pressure. We'll sing, we'll dance in the presence of the Lord, and then I'll preach. No pressure. Then the rest of the workforce can just sit nicely. I'll host you and all that. I'll be welcoming you. As you are entering, I'll show you where to sit. That kind of stuff. I'm very capable because I've served in all these departments before, so there's nothing I don't know. Don't worry. I'll connect everything here. Whatever I don't know, I'll figure it out. You see that? But then you see, if I show up like that, it means now I have to struggle to get into my sermon because now I'm upset. So instead of preaching like a nice sermon to uplift the people, I'll be giving slaps. The whole sermon, just slaps. The first time I will just be there like, Pastor. You will creep people out. Are we together? Yeah. So it's better this way. So you now need to learn to be excellent. You need to learn to be excellent. You know you're a workforce member. You can't show up at 8:30. You can't. See, just wake up on time. Bath early. Come here, just do the right thing. So, the point that we're making is God deliberately put you somewhere for a reason. The fact that you are here now is not an accident. It's not an accident. God purposed for you to be here. But whilst you are here, the question is, what are you doing? What are you doing to validate the wisdom of God in placing you where you are? Because we are saying it's the wisdom of God that you are where you are. Now, you need to validate the wisdom of you. You need to make the wisdom of God make sense. It's your responsibility. How are we going to? You need to vindicate God. Because now, we'll be looking at God, it's like, why did he bring this one here? When you now begin to run the way God set you up here, then we'll be like, thank God. Are you seeing that? Yeah. We thank God. There are people who've shifted the ministry because of their service. When they popped up, they started doing certain things. All of a sudden, this is just the way we got used to doing. The ministry shifted. In whatever small or major way that God has called you, be excellent. Just be excellent. If you're going to join the ushering department, be excellent. Don't be afraid of the prayers. What kind of a believer are you? So now people will be afraid to join the ushering department. Ooh, I've heard there are 05 prayers. So in between sleep and prayers, you've picked sleep. That's what you've gone for. It's better to sleep than to pray. That's what you're saying. That's the dimension of wisdom you're operating with. It's better to sleep than to pray. You even sign your name at the bottom. Something is wrong. Something is wrong. Just join. Be excellent. Hey, your prayer life will grow, at least. As you are serving God, you'll be benefiting this other side also. Join hospitality. Go do something there. Be nice to people, smile at people, make them welcome. That kind of stuff. You're doing the Lord's work. Someone will see their place in this church because you welcomed them the way that you did. Join media. Learn a skill there. Learn how to do flyers. Learn how to edit audios. My podcasts are. Learn how to do that. Learn how to take pictures. You never know. As you are learning how to take pictures like this, you become so good. You can even start your own business. You can start your own photography business. You're not taking pictures, that kind of stuff. You even start making money out of it. Where did you learn that skill? At church. I was serving in the media department. It's as simple as that. It's as simple as that. Join the hosts. They're amazing people. You will learn a lot about honor being in that department. Are you seeing that? Yeah. You learn a lot. There's a place of ministry to bring you to. If you're diligent enough, there are things you will see that everybody else doesn't get to see. Join mass choir. Sing for the Lord. There's a way that we are led into the presence of God by mass choir. Don't you want to be a part of that? Don't you want to be a part of the reason why when someone came to church, there's a way there are things they experience there because you led them well there. Some of you have to battle your shyness, I know. But like once you get through it, you'll be fine. Join setup. You have ideas in your head. Some people just want to criticize. Every time you come to church, so today they've done balloons. just always just wanting to criticize. Instead of doing ABCD, you same one, come and help us, Kaili. You see, one time, I was in a different church a long time ago, and there, they had a choir and a praise team. Yeah. The choir mainly consisted of like, abachikulile, chikulile. So the choir was more organized. The praise team, on the other hand, had Mayufi. Mayufi tabari serious. Mayufi tabari standard rehearse. They will just make up songs as they are called in front. So the portion of the service will come. We now invite the praise team to come to the front. Then the praise team will come. As they are getting up, some of them don't even want to get up, so a friend is dragging them to come to the front. Then they come to the front. And then now, when they get there, they now have to have this whole debate, not only about who's going to lead, but what song. Then, when they are done with that, their debate, then someone starts. And then the nature of the church was, when the praise team would be called, even the choir, the congregation will remain seated, they will do their songs, and then they'll sit like that. And so every time praise team would be called, my head immediately, I was too embarrassed on their behalf because, my goodness, even when they would start singing, it would just be all over the place. You know what I mean? I was just there like, so now I would tell my wife, I'm like, these guys, I don't call them guys have any, because why? And I was very, I was a serious critic over them. One day my wife gave me a challenge. She said, if you think they struggle so much, why don't you join them and help them with your ideas? I was like, because I wasn't necessarily interested in being part of them. I was feeling shy and all those things, and I was like, no, but me, I can't sing. What? So one day, I just said, you know what? What's the worst that could happen? So one Saturday, because Saturday sometimes is when they would even come for rehearsal. Yeah, I didn't sometimes. But we also had a youth meeting that day, so I made sure that people would come. Because I had also now started engaging myself in the youth ministry, which is another thing I had an issue with in that church, because they also didn't look serious. Now, see, my reason was, before this church, I was in Muflea. I was going to some other church when I was in Kitwe, where the youth ministry was serious. As in the youths there, they are the ones that used to clean the church. They would come to church on Saturday and clean. And I loved doing that, by the way. I loved coming to church on Saturday to just clean. I'll be there, I will sweep, shine, wipe the benches. And I loved it. This is why I don't quite understand people who don't like serving in church. I've not understood it. You may be struggling with your own things, but I'm just giving my opinion now. I've never understood it because I've loved every opportunity to serve in church. It didn't matter what. So now, imagine, I'm telling you how I enjoyed sweeping. I would drop everything and go to sweep to church. So the youths that signed, they were the ones that used to. So now when I was in Muflea and these people, I was like, what? You people, you play too much. So I started pushing. So that Saturday, we were supposed to have a youth meeting. So most of the praise team members were there. So then I forced them into rehearsal. I told them, guys, you struggle too much on Sunday. I think you just need to rehearse your songs so that by Sunday, you are ready. So that's how they started going through their usual songs. And you see, they only had like about 4 or 5 songs. Like we would know what song they would sing. You can guess. When they call them out, people like, they were not diverse. So they went through to my usual songs, what. So when they were done, I grabbed the mic. I was like, let me try something. So I started leading a certain praise song. That's how, people joined in. Chalila. And then the pastor's office was just adjacent to the main auditorium. So he came out. Because now, like when they were rehearsing before, it was just the usual to my songs. So I brought in something else. He came out, and this was his face when he came out. The man was smiling from ear to ear. So we did like 2 songs, and when we were done, he was like, so why don't you sing like this on Sunday? I was like, that's all I needed. It's all I needed. So we set those 2 songs to be the ones that we would sing the next day during service. So when they called the praise team, praise team, I'm going to yours truly much. Nach joy and a crew. So we went there, I grabbed the mic. You know, when you have the mic, there's like a certain power you have because you have the mic. So I went there, I said, would the congregation please just join us on their feet? And this is not something they used to do. Don't come do that here, we'll beat you. So that's how everybody's doing. No, because I found it strange that we are ministering to God and everybody's seated. I just didn't think it gave the correct honor. So I asked everybody just to be upstanding. That's how guy, I'm having the mic. They didn't want, it was strange, it was weird, but they all stood up. So we're just going to praise the Lord. I encourage you to just engage and just dance with us. What. Hit it. I show a keyboard much. Yeah. It cried. Now, this is not something that the congregation was used to. So a lot of them were very stiff during that time. There were people standing like this. Chidida ninjimba mani. There were those that, at least Balecha Kokana and Kane, my father was in attendance, so he has to support his son. He's the elder in church, so he didn't know whether to stand with the church or with me. So he was there just, doing kabelela. And about 3-4 weeks later, those people who were stiff were the ones who were even pushing into my requests. And in that period, I started to see growth in the church. The numbers started increasing. We could now seat people all the way to the back like that, with spaces filled. The youth ministry became vibrant. I remember when I had to leave for school, I came back after some time. One of the elders were like, why did you leave your friends? Impact. I didn't bring anything in particular. I saw an issue and I moved in to help, and it turned out brilliantly. Are you following me? It wasn't in some serious expertise or whatever. No. You've never known me as a praise leader, have you? You just know me as for preaching. But Saiduku, I was the one they used to fear. Are you seeing that? And this whole thing was never something that anyone had ever really commended me for. Like, it had never happened in my life. But in that moment, it's exactly what I became. So even when I joined this ministry, it was the same. I didn't necessarily have any amazing skill sets, but when I just came, I was just interested in the work. And so I served wherever the opportunity was. And before I knew it, I found my footing. Before I knew it, I could be trusted with so many things. Let me give you this secret. How you know that you are growing in any place is the level of responsibilities that are given to you. Then you know you're growing. Check the level of responsibilities. Sometimes some of the responsibilities may not necessarily come your way, not because you haven't grown, but just because there are already other people that handle those responsibilities. But then generally, there's a certain level. You must begin to see the difference in the levels of trust. Are we together? Yeah. So, what we are saying, you are here for a purpose. You are here, you are a student at CBU. School may not even be P1 on the calendar of God. You, as you were coming here for school, God was not thinking school for you first. It wasn't the first thing on his mind. But you come here and you prioritize your school. Now, I'm not saying throw away your school. No, it's not what I'm saying. You know me, I always tell you to study. Yeah. Every time I meet students, I remember the job. Job. It's important. But then you need to understand also that there are things on the calendar of God that you have to fulfill. You must. You must. By the time you are leaving CBU, there has to be something you did. There has to be something you did. See, this is why some of you need to learn to focus a bit more. Are we together? In other news, I hope no one is planning to go home during recess. I hope no one is planning on going home. Already some people, because of this whole water thing, they want to go home. Teti mwakosa kofi, eh? Koseni kofi pa nono. Already, small water problem, you want to go home. Behave. We will stay back together and God will continue keeping us. I've already mentioned this before, but for the sake of those that were not there, it even just makes academical sense that you don't go home. It makes academical sense that you don't go home. Because when you go home, kafe mkusikie mbale. Mkusikie mbale no kwempe fiani. Nga mwaya kunganda. Ta mwakala joba no kujoba. Nga mwaya kunganda. So it makes academical sense that you stay back. No, but they want me at home. They don't want you at home. They don't want you at home. They just tell you that so that you don't feel bad. So you're better off staying behind so that you can focus better on your academics. Because listen, no one here can say, I know me, I'm perfectly on point with my academics. Like everything is exactly where it should be. I've been doing great. I don't need no. All of you have got a thing you need to work on. There's like something you need to. There's always something you need to work on. Some of you are still shocked that school is the way it is. You haven't recovered. You're still shocked. Especially in my first years. You came here as like a smart kid. Me, I'm smart. I'm okay. Now school has been making you question that. You've been questioning whether you're the one who got those points or not. Then you want to go home. To go and do what? Stay behind. Just stay. When the people they call you at home, they say, Tauleza kunganda. No. Nishi. I need to catch up. They won't bother you. But then also, as you stay back, you need to actually catch up. Because look, I'm not telling you this just so that you don't go home and you continue coming to church. No. Obviously, I want that too. But I'm also trying to show you that it only makes academical sense that you don't go home. When you go home, you go find those my issues. Kunganda. Wasanga, can't you pour off mini quality so? Can't you you find the people there, you see, now you are disturbed. Now when you come back here, on top of your school, now you have to start thinking about what's going on at home. So you're better off not going. Just stay. It's just 2 weeks. Right? It's just 2 weeks. What are you fussing about? It's just 2 weeks. You can manage 2 weeks. 2 weeks, sit down, plan your academics. Review the time from the time that the academic year started to now. Some of you have tests this week. You have tests this week. When you're done with these tests, you need to sit down and just have time to just parangashate. Just what happened? It's important for you. What I'm telling you, this is the word. You don't just rush. If we are being honest, you don't study when you go home. You don't study when you go home. You need to be here. Because listen, there are a lot of people who are not going to go home. A lot of people are not going to go home. So now, when you stay back, then now, you wake up and then wasasa pita munodo wasanga na muisula. Or you'll be shocked at, are we on recess? What's going on here? There will be people studying in here. That you can't see that from home. When you go home, you think everybody else has gone home and chilling like you. But when you're here, and you're now looking at how, I need to get serious. Because look, some of you need to accept, especially the first years, you need to accept that you've been over-enrolled. So there's possibly a flashing system going on. Chida Gumpa going into second year now. Because they now need to come down to the numbers they are really supposed to be having. So your grades have got to be impressive for you to stay. You want to go home to go do dishes. Stay. Study. Just sit down and analyze your academic. How has it been so far? What did I miss? What has slapped me the most? How do I recover? In the first week, you figure all of that out. You make a plan for how you're going to move forward. You say, now, moving forward, what changes am I going to make so that I give myself an advantage? By the second week, you would have had a plan, you would have been catching up, you're doing serious studies. You've developed a system, because now you've seen that, what has been the pattern of our classes? It's been like this, like this. How has each lecturer been behaving? This one behaves like this, that one behaves like that one behaves like that. Okay, cool. How do I adjust now to these things? I'll adjust like this, like this, like that. What struggles did I have to study? At which times? For how long? That kind of thing. In which kind of environment? You need to plan all those things out. Because by the time recess is done and you are coming back for class, you will find your lecturers also have been in the academic or gym waiting for you. That's usually the case. Ask the returning students. They will tell you. Ulewela fe. Pressure. Very unnecessary one, even. You see? Mhm. I mean, don't get it for me. Give the deaconess the mic. Tell the people, stand up. After recess, what's the atmosphere in school?
It's very tense. Lecturers come back full force, ready to give you hard tests and hard assignments, just to test your thinking capacity and how far you've gone with your studying, because the assumption is that during the 2 weeks you were studying. So if you come back and you are not studying, you will find them ready for you. Yeah.
So now, do you know how hard it is sometimes to come out of vacation mode? Because see, you were home for 2 weeks chilling. You were in vacation mode. So now when you come back to school, and all these things start, test, quiz, assignment, what, you will feel like it's too much. But if you were here, you were still in the school environment, the school atmosphere, you were checking out other people studying, they were giving you pressure to study and all that kind of stuff. By the time recess is done, you're coming back and they're giving you tests, there's nothing new. You were already in the academical mode as compared to the one who's coming from the vacation mode. So, just stay. But on the other end also, every now and then when people go home, I don't know, they just don't come back the same. I just don't. I don't know what happens, Kunga and Nagamoya, but like, people just don't come back the same. You come back with all sorts of thoughts, issues, and pressures, and all that kind of stuff. And then now plus the school. Now I start chasing you around again. Listen, sometimes I've seen people, from personal experience, I've seen people disturb their spiritual journey because they went home. Nothing wrong with home. Home is amazing. I'm not saying now your homes are evil. That's not what I'm saying. Don't get me wrong. But I'm just saying sometimes you are on a path, and sometimes you need to maintain momentum first before you can break off for anything. Are we together? Because some of you just recently joined the department, you've been serving and all that kind of stuff. Maintain that momentum. Some of you are now hearing me today and you're thinking, you know what, I think I really need to get serious. I need to join the department and really begin serving God and all that kind of stuff. Now listen, you're listening to me today. This is Sunday. Your recess, 30 normally last week to Angiramwe. So if it's home you're going, for some of you it means that you won't be here on Sunday next week. So just when you're catching a fire today, then you disappear. You go. What do you think will happen to that fire? By the time 2 weeks is done, trust me, I'm telling you, I've seen these things a lot of times. By the time the 2 weeks, you won't think it's not that long. 2 weeks it's enough. By the time you're coming back, that fire is out. And sometimes the worst part is not that the fire is just out, but that there's now ice where fire used to be. So even if we try to light a match there, we first have to melt this ice, evaporate the water, dry the place, then a fire can have a chance to grow. We are lengthening the process. So it's best for you, both spiritually and academically, that you stay back. Are we together? Yes. Don't worry, we'll be busy. I think in these 2 weeks of recess, we can have a few classes here and there and just really get to deal with certain things spiritually. We can have some prayer meetings. We can have a chima overnight somewhere. Things like that. You get what I mean? Just we keep ourselves busy spiritually as well as academically so that we stay on top of things. Are we together? Yeah. That's the word. Let's be upstanding.